next topic is development, or what the economic survey has covered is what are the developments happened in the last 2 years in the government securities market. Okay, so see, both the economic survey have covered about the government securities market, but what is relevant is the latest data. Okay, what happened in the year 2019-20 in the government securities market. Okay, so when you hear, see, you need to understand what is this government securities market is all about. Okay, see, basically government securities are issued by the government, okay, to raise funds, okay, through mainly our budget deficit or fiscal deficit is managed through issuing government securities by the government. Okay, so we have a highly liquid government securities market, in the sense that it is not only the government have issued the government securities market, primary market, it also having a very liquid secondary market where there is continuous buying and selling of government securities happens. Okay, so the movement of the government securities, especially the interest rate, what we call it as yield, is very important to know the interest rate in the economy. So we see, there are different terms government securities are there, but the 10-year tenure government securities has been taken as the benchmark government securities. So basically what happens to the yield, okay, what happened, yield means the return you get in from that government securities. So what is the movement of the yield in the government securities for the 10-year benchmark, 10-year government security, we also call it as benchmark security, reflects what is the prevailing interest rate in the economy. Okay, and another term you will come across regarding government securities, that it will say that, okay, the yield, you know what is the return you get in that government security. Government security is basically a debt instrument. Okay, what happens to the yield, whether the yield may harden or the yield may soften. Okay, so it means that softening means the return or the interest rate is coming down. Okay, hardening means it is getting higher. And we also have discussed the relationship between bond price and bond yield. All these concepts I have already covered. You can watch it in the YouTube. Okay, so anyway, in the first half of 1920, the bond, the government securities yield, basically government securities is a bond issued by the government. Okay, the yield government securities yield have softened, it has come down, it has reduced. So what are the reasons for it? So this can be a potential question. Okay, so what are the reasons why the government securities yield or return have softened in the financial year 1920? The first is, see, the global decision, especially in the US economy, also have an impact over our economy because of the foreign capital which comes from US and other developed countries. Okay, change in the monetary policy stance of the US Federal Reserve, okay, which is the central bank of US Federal Reserve, is the central bank of US. So the US Federal Reserve have changed its monetary policy. It has again started reducing its interest rate. Okay, so because of the low global growth concerns and the trade tension the US had with China, the US Federal Reserve have reduced the interest rate. So the change in the monetary policy stance of the US Federal Reserves resulted in more money coming to in our economy. Okay, so that has helped the benchmark government security 10-year in yield to soften. So one is the change in the monetary policy of the US Federal Reserve. Then second is easing of liquidity condition. We already discussed that from June 2019 onwards, we have seen liquidity surplus in the economic system, basically in the banking system. So easing of liquidity condition in the banking system is another reason. And in 2019, we have seen that there have been consecutive, for 4 bi-monthly monetary policy RBI, there have been consecutive policy rate cut in the financial year 1920 itself. So consecutive policy rate cut by the RBI, along with the change of the RBI's monetary policy from neutral to accommodative. Okay, neutral means RBI will not say that it will favor interest rate cut or whether it will increase. Anything can happen. It can either increase the repo rate or it can decrease the repo rate. But when it says that it is accommodative, it is ready to cut the interest rate. Okay, so RBI have changed its monetary policy in 19 from neutral to accommodative, as well as there have been continuous repo rate cut. We already discussed. And then another reason is that the crude oil prices have started slowing down. Okay, in 19. Then there have been huge transfer of RBI surplus to the government. Nearly 1.7 lakh crore have been transferred. It's a record transfer from RBI to the government. Okay, so this huge transfer of RBI surplus to the government resulted in sufficient money for the government. Okay, so it means that government will borrow less. Okay, so that also have softened the yield. Then this is very, very, very important. Okay, RBI have conducted a special open market operation. There is a high chance that UPSC may ask question regarding Operation Twist. Operation Twist is nothing but a special open market operation. I have covered long back regarding the Operation Twist. It is available in YouTube. Those who don't know, you watch that. It's a very, very important topic, Operation Twist. Okay. So what is this Operation Twist? It is a special open market operation. So it's an open market operation, but it is called a special open market operation. Reason is, see, normally in an open market operation, RBI either will buy government security or sell government security. But in this special open market operation, also called Operation Twist, it will simultaneously buy and sell government securities. Simultaneous buying and selling of government securities is happening. But there is an important point to note down is that it will buy, RBI will buy or purchase long-term securities, that is 10-year. RBI will purchase long-term securities. So, when RBI purchase long-term securities, what will happen? And simultaneous sale, okay, RBI is purchasing it, okay, RBI is purchasing the long-term, RBI, not anyone else, okay. So, when through auction RBI have purchased the long-term security and simultaneous sale of short-term security. So, this when RBI started buying this long-term security, its yield started, the 10-year benchmark yield started softening, okay. But what is important is that you should know about this. So basically, whenever RBI conduct this special market operation, what happens is that the long-term government securities interest or the yield will fall. Okay, so this simultaneous buying of long-term securities and selling of short-term securities. So when RBI sells short-term securities, the interest rate, so there will be the difference between this long-term and short-term securities will come down. Okay, the long-term securities price will yield will come down and the short-term will slowly increase. Okay, so basically this special open market operation or Operation Twist conducted by RBI also resulted in softening of the yield. So they can ask independently this question regarding this special open market operation or Operation Twist. RBI is doing this operation for the first time. Okay, so that's the reason why this can be a very US Federal Reserve used to do it. Okay, but RBI have done this special open market operation where simultaneous buying of long-term security and selling of short-term security is RBI is doing for the first time. Because of that, this question can be asked. I can ask what is this special open market operation, or they can ask what is this Operation Twist. Okay, so this resulted in, this is expected to bring down the term premium. So when RBI have conducted the this special open market operation, also called by the name Operation Twist, it has an impact over the term premium. The term premium have been reduced. What happened is the differential between the long-term and short-term bond yields. So they can ask, what is this term premium? Term premium is the difference between long-term government yield and short-term, long-term bond yield and short-term bond yield. So since there have been decrease in the long-term bond yield and increase in the short-term bond yield, the term premium, which is the difference between the yield of long-term bond and short-term bond, have reduced. So there's high chance that they can ask you what is this term premium also. And term premium have become in use because of this operation twist. Okay, so these are the factors or reasons why in the first half of 2019-20 there have been softening of government securities yield or bond yield. So this can be a potential question, and this is a very, very, very important current affair. Okay, now see the movement of the 10-year benchmark government security yield. I told you 10-year government security is the benchmark. Okay, so what happened? See, this is the yield. Okay, this is from April 2019. In April 2019, it was the yield was somewhere between 7.25. It started increasing, but then you can see that from April 2019 onwards, there have been a steep fall. See, there have been a fall in the yield. This is actually, I discussed this, softening. Okay, so all this happened due to these various factors. Okay, so it has touched even 6.3. So from 7.8 to 7.3, the yield of 10-year government securities has fallen to 6.3. But later there have been a small increase, and then it remained static. And again, when it started increasing, RBI conducted this is the time RBI conducted this special market operation. After the conduct of special market operation, again there have been a decrease in the yield of government securities. But overall, you can see that a fall or softening of the government securities yield, 10-mark benchmark yield. Okay, the reasons are which we have discussed. Again, that this can be a potential question for your coming prelims.